Now, he was last seen in gold shorts, both on stage and in my dreams, in Rocky Horror, but I thought he loved opera. He does, but he also likes rock. The new album, One Day Like This, combines both loves. Ave Maria and Elbow, anyone? Rhydian Roberts. Hi, Rhydian.
Hi, Bernie.
How was that Rocky experience for you? Good?
Loved it, yeah, and you're quite kind saying shorts. They were more like hot pants.
They weren't really, weren't they? And you're not a shrinking violet, you are an exhibitionist. Did you not have a few wobbles when you saw what that stage costume would be?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did a bit of research and I saw the film and I was like, okay, he doesn't wear an awful lot. But then when I had to actually take off all my clothes apart from the hot pants and the boots and walk on stage in front of 2,000 people first night, it was, I thought it would be frightening, and it was in a way, but it was also quite liberating.
Was it?
Yeah. You just come out, it's the best entrance I've ever had. You just turn around on this truck and then the lights, camera action, and it felt great, actually. But what was hard, Bernie, was being on the road for 4 months and keeping in shape. Yeah,
because it's skinsters or nothing when you're on the road, isn't it, really?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I had to go to the gym every day, and then that was difficult on a Saturday or a Wednesday matinee day, because you kind of become a slightly body dysmorphic, because, you're supposed to be the muscle guy, and sometimes you think, oh, shouldn't have had that burger and pizza, or, oh, I think I'm losing a bit of muscle mass. So it kind of comes a little bit obsessive.
You have a big voice, you have a beautiful voice that's shown so perfectly on this album. It was never an ambition to be an opera star, though, was it?
Well, no. I mean, my ambition initially was to be a rugby player.
Yeah.
Play rugby for Wales, and I went to a so-called rugby school of excellence, and I really enjoyed playing, and that's all I knew, and I trained very hard, and that's where I got my physique, because I obviously had to be big to play rugby.
Yeah.
But then I saw an opera when I was 14, fell in love with it, and actually the song that I fell in love with, I've included on this new album, the Pearl Fishers duet, which I duet with myself, which I think is the first. But yeah, and then I trained as a singer from the age of 14, then I went to music school for 5 years, and then I had a place to go to the Royal Academy to study musical theatre, because that was a passion of mine alongside opera. So I wasn't sure whether to go into opera or musicals or concert work, and then so I decided to go on the X Factor, and then yeah, it was a good move for me, though, because it's enabled me to do both. I do theatre, I sing concert stuff, I'm in the classical chart world, and still working, which is the most important.
And you have sustained that career remarkably beyond most people who go in these kind of shows. And when I saw you, I thought, what they're doing to you isn't fair. How long ago is it now, Rhydian, that you were on that?
2007. Yeah. 6.5 years ago.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, you're far more than the comic character that they were trying to portray you as. Do you think it was a good move, dressing up?
Well, I had to do it. The producers of the shows wanted me to do certain things, and I would have looked stupid if I'd refused and then got thrown off the show.
Yeah.
But there are intelligent people out there, and very astute people like yourself, who could see through it, and I knew that. And so I made it into light entertainment, Saturday night entertainment, and I didn't mind wearing flamboyant outfits and hair and stuff. Not really, as long as I stayed in the competition, because Cowell was promising me this contract, throughout the stages, going, trust me, Rhydian, you're doing fine, I'm a big fan of yours. And
famous last words, Rhydian.
Well, exactly. But I think, looking back, the X Factor was a fun experience, but you can't... You can never tell how the TV show and the producers are going to portray you, and they're geniuses, really, in a way. They can make TV out of nothing, and because I didn't have a backstory, they decided to create one. But I'm not bitter about it. I'm still working, and that's the main thing.
But no snobbery, because I'm thinking of Alfie Boe, who was musical theatre star like yourself, and he has had run-ins with high-end opera as a result of being populist. You the same, or do you just not listen to that, rise above it?
Well, in fact, Alfie, it's harder for Alfie because he comes from the Coliseum, English National Opera, and he's a proper tenor, he's a great tenor voice, and he's kind of crossed over into theatre. He had that big break with the Les Mis.
Les Mis, yeah.
But I'm sure there's people look down through their noses at him more in the opera world. I never, I went from college into TV, and then I went into theatre. So there's no snobbery with me, really. I'm not saying if I sang in La Scala or the Covent Garden, I might have to change my name. But the likelihood is the people who run that won't know who I am, and that's fine by me, because I hopefully appeal with my singing to a much larger audience. That's not to say that I disrespect opera. I love the art form, and these opera singers work so hard for very little reward and praise, but I learned all of that at college, and I'm so glad I did, and it helped me with my languages. And on this album I sing in 6 different languages that I learned at college.
And you understand them all, do you?
I understand Welsh. I speak Welsh fluently.
Shwmae, siwr chi?
Oh, da iawn, diolch. Very good, yes.
That's all I can do. And then if you say achi, which means and you, I just said hello, how are you?
Yes.
And he said, well, thank you. And then achi would have been and you. And the only reply I've got to that is wedi blino.
Oh, you're tired.
That's it.
Oh, well, yeah, very good pronunciation. So we have one Welsh song on the album, but there are Italian songs, French, obviously, and Latin and German. And I could speak French more than German, but I can phonetically pronounce and understand anything, but I can't necessarily converse with a German and be comfortable,
You have a fellow Welsh singer on there, Bonnie Tyler. Oh. She's lovely, but nuts, isn't she?
Oh, she's crazy.
She's wonderful.
She's amazing. I've been a huge fan of hers since the 80s. My dad used to play her album in the car, and I'm a huge Jim Steinman fan. Of course, she was one of Jim's sort of prodigies, along with Meatloaf, and great back catalogue. We forget how great her songs and her videos, and the Grand Canyon with that white dress, brilliant. And I was so happy that she agreed to sing a duet with me on this album. And
what song have you done?
Song called Miserere, written by Zucchero, and English words by Bono, actually. So, that's what I like to do, as you mentioned at the start. I like combining the classical with the rock, and that makes me a crossover artist.
Kerry Ellis is on there, and the Edmondson Sisters. Who are the Edmondson Sisters?
Oh, well, the Edmondson Sisters, they're my best London friends. They're a great group that are signed to Decca. I've known them for 10 years, and they're close, sort of rock folk group. Brilliant harmonies. They are sisters. There used to be 5 of them. They're still alive, but 2 of them have left the group, so now there are 3, and they're doing extremely well. They're going to be huge. Of course, Kerry Ellis, she's a West End star.
Yep.
Great voice, and
working with Brian May, isn't she?
She was, yeah. She is. I just saw her tour last week. Went to see Brian and Kerry, and I love her voice, and she's worked really well on this. It sounds great on this album.
How much say does an artist like you have in what songs are done here? Did you pick them all?
I picked them all on this album.
Good for you. That's quite rare, isn't it?
It's very rare. It's been an unusual experience, to put it that way. I mean, I'm very proud of all my albums, and the first 2, however, when you're working with Mr. Cowell, he certainly has his input, and it's kind of 50-50, the artist and him. I'm not sure how other artists work. Perhaps it's all him, but he was gracious enough to let me have my choices. But he knows what he's talking about. But on this album, they're my choices, and every song has a story behind it as to why I've put it on. And also, we want it to qualify for the classical charts, and you need 60% material to qualify.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, you do. Yeah. You can't qualify just by being a classical singer or having strings. It needs to be classified as classical. So the title track, for example, One Day Like This, that's not a classical song.
Nope.
So that doesn't qualify, but it's important for me to include that, and Nights in White Satin, that doesn't qualify, and The Blower's Daughter by Damien Rice, because my audience likes me to mix it up from classical to pop and rock, and so do I, and it makes for a good track listing, and it doesn't become boring, because a lot of classical singers sing slow song after slow song, and it becomes laborious.
But they are all covers. Do you write music?
I don't really know. I don't. I have co-written with Walter Afanasieff in Los Angeles, who wrote most of the things for Mariah Carey. He wrote Hero, etc. And that's a great experience. But I feel a little bit like we're cheating the songwriters. I'm a singer, and I have a great job, and I get to perform live on arenas and concert halls. But these writers who work jolly hard, they're writing every day, and they probably get one hit in every 200, 300 songs. I think it's unfair for an artist to say, "Oh, I'll have a credit on that."
They saw Elvis, okay, didn't he? He recorded 772 songs, didn't write one of them.
So, well, there you go. Tom Jones as well, I think.
Cliff.
Yeah. So they're done brilliantly well. Yeah.
Can you read music? If you can't write it, do you read it?
Yeah, I can read it. Yeah. Yeah, we learned that at college, and I used to be a trumpeter, so I took up the trumpet when I was 6 years old, and so studied music and did grade 8 trumpet. So I'm not saying I'm brilliant, but I can get by. If you give me a piece of music, I could sing it to you. Yeah.
And you can wear a suit beautifully. Is that a William Hunt suit there?
It is,
William
yeah.
Hunt?
Very well observed. Yes, it is William Hunt.
Lovely bit of schmutter. That didn't come from Mr. Byright, that, did it?
I'm a huge fan of William's clothes, and yeah, I'm kitted out in William Hunt on this album. And
do you get to keep it afterwards?
Of course, yeah.
Because a lot don't. When these lardies go on the red carpet for the awards nights, it's got to go back, hasn't it? It's got to go back.
It's got to go back. I've done that once where I had to give a jacket back that was like £6,000.
I wouldn't do it. I'd spill like a vol au vent on it and say, "Oh, you can't have this back."
But most of my suits I keep. Ridiculous. I've got too many suits now. Really, I'm going to start just keeping the suits and changing the shirts because I think I've got over 85, 90 suits.
Do you know, I admire you very much, Rhydian. You've created this life. People often, when we see folks achieving stuff, we think, oh, they're born to it, or this was just given to you by divine right, or, someone plucked you from obscurity. You've worked for all of this. All them 90 suits, that's hard graft, isn't it?
Well, it was, I mean, as my voice and my career, I've certainly worked for, yes. Like, I train very hard. 2 hours a day, sometimes 3 hours a day, and I've got goals that I want to achieve, and I've got a great teacher that I see once a month as well, that I saw from college days. And the main thing is I love what I do. The training, sometimes you don't want to do it, but once I get into it, I absolutely thrive on it and love it.
Good man. Well, look, I'm going to let you go because I'm wearing gold hot pants in tribute, and they're riding up now, Rhydian. It's like I've got cheese wire up there. The 7th of April is when this lovely album, One Day Like This, comes out. We'll play the title track. Thanks, Rhydian.
Thanks so much.